The night my wife stopped sounding like my wife. She was in our kitchen laughing into her phone about having a soulmate at work. That was the first time I realized the joke wasn't a joke, and I wasn't actually in on it. Name's Ethan Carter. 32. I move boxes for 12 hours a day at a distribution center and come home sore, hungry, and usually too tired to think about much more than food, shower, bed. Nothing fancy. Just a regular life I thought was solid. That night started like all the others. Same turn onto our street. Same crack in the asphalt by the mailbox. Same beat-up Ford in the same oil stain in the driveway. I killed the engine, sat there a second, rolled my shoulders, and just tried to let the day fall off. Then I heard her laughing from inside. Not normal laughing. Bright, full volume. Like someone had just told the funniest story she'd ever heard. I walked in and the smell hit me first, her good perfume. The one she used to save for date nights. She was in the kitchen, still in her work clothes. Makeup fresh like she hadn't just done an 8-hour shift. Phone to her ear, back to me. "Oh my God, Tyler, stop," she said, giggling. "You're ridiculous. My soulmate at work." "Shut up." She didn't even glance over when the door shut. I put my keys in the bowl, same as always. Steel-toe boots off. Lunchbox on the counter. She gave me a quick little half-wave without breaking conversation, like I was a roommate passing through. "Yeah, he just got home," she said into the phone. "No, he's fine. He never notices anything." That line sat in my chest. I opened the fridge. Leftover chicken, old pizza, nothing special. She leaned against the counter, twisting a strand of hair, smiling at the floor. "You're hilarious," she said. "Seriously, you make work bearable. My work soulmate, that's what you are." Her phone was face down on the counter. Screen lighting up every so often. Buzzing from some app. Some message. Always face down lately. Hadn't used to be like that. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice even. "Everything good?" She covered the mic with her hand, like she was being polite, not secretive. "Yeah, babe. Just Tyler. Rough day. I'll be off in a sec. Okay?" Random Tuesday. Perfume. Extra makeup. Phone calls with coworkers that apparently made work bearable. Late nights catching up on projects I'd never heard of. Early mornings needing quiet at the coffee shop before her shift. None of it was big enough on its own. Just little things that didn't quite line up when you set them side by side. I've never thought of myself as the jealous type. Always figured if you have to police someone, they aren't worth the badge. But there's a difference between being trusting and being blind. I heated up whatever was in the plastic container, listened to her laugh at another one of his jokes, louder than she'd laughed at anything I'd said in months. I watched her fingers tap the back of that phone like it was some private thing that belonged more to her world than ours. "Gonna hit the shower," I said. "Okay, I'll be right there," she answered, already back in Tyler's world before the sentence was done. I walked down the hallway, plate in hand, heart steady but tight. To anyone else, it was just a Tuesday night. To me, it was the first time I let myself admit something was off. I couldn't prove anything yet. Didn't need to. I already knew. I didn't go hunting for anything that night. That's what I told myself, anyway. We went through the motions. She got off the phone eventually, said Tyler was just venting about work, kissed my cheek like a peace offering, then slipped into bed scrolling on that same phone. Screen turned slightly away. "I'm wiped," she said. "You're on early tomorrow, right?" "Yeah," I said. Alarms set. She fell asleep fast. Back turned. Phone on her side of the nightstand, face down, like always lately. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathing settle into that soft, shallow rhythm. Every small thing from the last few weeks lined up in my head like boxes on a conveyor. The perfume, the extra care with her hair, the inside jokes with Tyler from work, the way she relaxed more with her phone than with me. I don't know how long I started. Long enough for the clock to roll past 2 a.m. At some point, the thought stopped being a question and turned into a decision. Either I keep pretending or I find out. I rolled over slowly. She didn't move. Her phone was right there, a little black brick holding answers I never wanted. I hated my hand for reaching, Hated how easy the screen lit up with just a thumb swipe. No password change. No lock. Like she was so sure I'd never look. Messages. Tyler Brooks. No hiding. Their thread pinned near the top. I opened it. The first thing that hit me wasn't some graphic line. It was normal stuff soured by context. Couldn't stop thinking about you today. He'd written that afternoon. My actual soulmate. Her reply, oh well, shut up. You're trouble. But you're not wrong. I kept scrolling. Pictures from work. Inside jokes. Complaints about bosses. Then it shifted. You looked amazing today. That dress should be illegal. Stop, she wrote. You're gonna make me blush at my desk. Late night messages. Time-stamped past midnight when she was too tired to talk to me. I wish we had more time alone, he'd sent. Me too, she answered. Work days go fast with you. Home. Not so much lately. Then the one that hooked me around the throat. I don't want to mess up your marriage, he wrote. Her. You're not. He doesn't notice anything anymore anyway. Like I was a lamp. A chair. Something that just existed in the background of her life. I waited for a rush of heat. For my hands to shake. For something dramatic. It didn't come. Everything went cold instead. Focused. Small. I read enough to know what I needed to know. Emotional affair, whatever label you want to slap on it. In her head, she was already halfway out the door, just hadn't told me yet. I locked the phone, set it back exactly where it had been. She shifted a little side, rolled onto her back. No idea her whole act had just been exposed 3 inches from her face. I swung my legs over the side of the bed and sat there in the dark. 5 years, reset in one scroll. I didn't cry, didn't yell, didn't shake her awake and demand explanations she'd only twist. Instead, I reached up to the closet shelf, pulled down an old green duffel bag I hadn't touched since a fishing trip years ago, and set it on the floor. In my head, I started a list, plain and simple: wallet, work uniforms, tools, personal documents, laptop, the TV I bought before we were married. The rest was noise. By tomorrow night, I decided my life and hers wouldn't be mixed anymore. The marriage was already over in her mind. I was just finally catching up. I didn't sleep much after that. I didn't need to. Once a decision locks in, rest doesn't matter. By 4 a.m., I was up, dressed, and sitting at the tiny motel-style desk in the corner of our bedroom, phone in hand. I wasn't running. I was reorganizing. The first call was to Mike Harris, the one guy I knew would answer stupid early. He picked up on the second ring. Are you dead or in jail? Neither, I said. Need a favor. You and Tom. Couple hours. Help me move some stuff. Pause. You good? I will be. Just meet me at my place at 30. He didn't argue. We're on our way. Next, I opened the banking app. Joint account balance sat on the screen, numbers that represented 5 years of overtime, skipped vacations, and being responsible. I moved exactly half into the personal checking I'd set up years back for direct deposit. Not a penny more. Not a penny less. No revenge. Just fair. Then I left a voicemail for the leasing office, calm and polite. Told them there'd be a change in occupants, that I'd be by later to handle paperwork and remove my name. Professional, like I was talking about a contract, not a marriage. By 5, I was in the living room moving through the place like I was clocked in at the distribution center. Inventory time. Mine. Hers. Doesn't matter. The couch? Hers. Most of the decor on the walls? She picked it, she can keep it. Dishes, towels, all the little house things she cared about rearranging? Not worth the space. My pile was simple. Tools, clothes, work boots, my weights from the spare room, the TV I'd had in my old apartment, my laptop, a small box of old photos that were mine before Ethan and Rachel existed, and the coffee maker I'd bought for my brother but never ended up giving him. Headlights hit the blinds around 6. Mike and Tom came in quietly, took one look around, and got it without details. You okay, man? Mike asked while lifting a box. I will be, I said. Just need this done before 8. We moved fast. Bedroom, living room, little office nook. I skipped anything that would start a debate later. If it was a gray area, it stayed. I wasn't giving her a reason to drag this out. By 7:30, my life was reduced to what fit in the back of their truck and my Ford. The apartment felt bigger and emptier, like a stage after the crew's already packed up. I went to the kitchen counter, grabbed a scrap of paper from the notepad we kept for grocery lists, and wrote 5 words. Kidding's over. Marriage too. I set it next to my copy of the apartment key. Then I walked out, shut the door behind me, and let the silence say everything I didn't feel like explaining. I checked into the extended stay motel off the highway like a guy in town for a training shift. No drama, just a duffel bag on my shoulder and my work uniform on a hanger. The room was small. Queen bed, tiny kitchenette, plastic table pretending to be a desk. Smelled like old air freshener and microwave dinners. It wasn't home, but it was mine for the week, and nobody there thought of me as a piece of furniture. I dropped my stuff, sat on the edge of the bed, and that's when my phone started lighting up. First it was Rachel. Where are you? Did you take your stuff? What is going on, Ethan? This isn't funny. Calls, voicemails, more texts. Shock, then anger, then panic, cycling through stages like a script. I didn't answer, not out of spite, out of choice. Instead, I opened my notes app and made another list. Electric company, internet provider, car insurance, leasing office. I went down it one by one. Calm voice, direct requests. Yes, I need my name removed from that account. No, we're not living together anymore. Yes, she'll keep services in her name if she wants them. Every call untied one more knot. Meanwhile, the messages stacked up. I deserve an explanation. Is this about Tyler? He's just a friend. Please call me. We can fix this. Then the mutual friends started. Claire, Rachel's freaking out. Are you okay? Megan. She said you just bailed. What happened? I gave them all the same simple line. Found out some things. I made a decision. I'm good. That was it. No details. I wasn't putting my marriage on trial in a group chat. Later, I ordered cheap pizza, sat at the little table, and listened to my phone buzz across the laminate like a trapped insect. I let it go. 5 years of shared life had boiled down to one small room, a few bags of my own stuff, and a quiet I hadn't felt in, couldn't remember. It didn't feel like freedom yet. It felt like clarity. By the 3rd day at the motel, the shock had burned off. What was left was routine, work, sleep, small room, quiet phone. That's when I called a lawyer. David Collins' office was in one of those old brick buildings downtown with bad parking and good coffee in the waiting room. He shook my hand once, sat down across from me, and got straight to it. No kids? He asked. No kids. No house? Just a lease. Yeah. Separate cars, separate insurance. Just the apartment and the joint account. I already took half. He nodded like I'd done my homework. Then this is simple. No fault, uncontested if she doesn't fight it. We file, she gets served, you sign, she signs, the judge stamps it. The fastest way out is staying firm and staying quiet. That last part sat right with me. He slid some papers across the desk. I read enough to understand the basics, then signed. Those signatures felt different than the one I'd put on our marriage license. Less hopeful, more honest. The decision turned into a process right there. When I got back to my truck, my phone had more missed calls than I cared to count. Same story. Rachel, her mom, and a couple of friends. All noise. I stared at her name for a long second, then did what I'd been avoiding. Called her. She picked up on the first ring, voice already high. Ethan? What the hell is going on? You just disappeared. Do you know how crazy this is? I didn't disappear, I said. I moved out. Because of some stupid texts? Tyler is just a friend. We joke. That's it. You're seriously going to blow up our marriage over? I read all of it. I cut in. Calm. Flat. The actual soulmate stuff. The wish we had more time alone. The part where I don't notice anything anymore. I noticed enough. Silence on her end. Just breathing. It wasn't like that. She tried. You're taking it out of Conti. I'm filing for divorce, I said. Papers are already with the lawyer. You'll be served. I don't want any more contact outside of that. No talks. No meetups. Handle it through email or attorneys. Her voice jumped an octave. You can't just decide that without even giving me a chance to explain. I just did, I answered. I didn't wait for the next line. I hung up, blocked her number, then scrolled to Tyler Brooks and blocked him too. The door was closed. That night, I picked up an extra shift at the distribution center. Let the weight of boxes and the rhythm of the line fill the spaces where arguments could have lived. While everyone else expected a big scene, I chose signatures and silence instead. It was a Saturday when Claire called. I was in the garage of the little house I was renting, tightening a bolt on an old weight bench, when my phone buzzed. Hey, she said, voice low. Rachel's planning something. Okay, I said. With who? With Tyler. She told Megan they're gonna catch you at the apartment today. Get everything out in the open, make you listen. She thinks you'll show up to grab the last of your stuff. I looked around. Everything that mattered to me was already in that garage. Appreciate the heads up, I said. I'm not picking sides, Claire added. You don't deserve to be blindsided. Message received, I said. Thanks. If they wanted a scene, they were going to be disappointed. I still had the spare key on my ring, the one we kept just in case in a junk drawer before I moved out. I drove over mid-morning, long before any planned ambush. The apartment lot looked the same. The unit didn't. Inside it was different, heavier. Dishes stacked in the sink, crusted over. Takeout containers on the counter. Laundry spilled across the couch where we used to sit. A couple of envelopes on the table with final notice slapped on them in red. The place didn't feel like ours anymore. It barely felt like hers. Just a box where someone was losing control in slow motion. I walked through each room like I was checking for missed freight on a loading dock. Bedroom, nothing of mine. Bathroom, my razor gone. My cologne gone. Spare room. Empty corner where my weights used to be. Some half-folded clothes on the floor. Good. Clean. I went back to the kitchen table, pulled out the same notepad I'd used for the first message and sat down. This time I didn't do 5 words. I laid it out simple and direct. No insults. No poetry. I wrote what I knew. The messages, the soulmate jokes, the late nights that weren't work, the early mornings that weren't projects. I told her I'd read enough to know exactly where her head had been while I was paying bills and working overtime. I told her divorce papers were already filed and she'd been or would be served. Then I underlined one line, hard enough to dent the paper. This isn't a negotiation. The marriage is over. I left the note right where the first one had been, next to the spot my key used to sit. On my way out, I locked the door, drove straight to the leasing office, and slid my last key into their drop box with a written request to change the locks and finalize removing my name from the lease. By the time Rachel and Tyler were on their way over to corner the old version of me, the one who'd sit and listen and absorb the blame, I was already gone, back on the other side of town. They were headed to talk to a man who didn't live there anymore. The middle stretch wasn't exciting. No blow-ups, no dramatic confrontations in parking lots. Just life tightening up on both sides in different ways. I moved out of the motel and into a small rental house across town. 1-story, little yard, a garage big enough for my tools and weights. Beige walls, old carpet, nothing impressive. But the lease had one name on it. Mine. At work, my supervisor, Mark Stevens, started dropping hints. "You've been solid through all this," he said one night, watching me run a line shorthanded. "The lead position might open up. Guys trust you. Think about it." I didn't give a speech, just nodded. "You know where to find me." On the other side, the fallout came through other people. Claire texted first. She's back with her parents. Couldn't keep the apartment on one income. Then, her dad's pissed. Frank barely talks to her. Tyler's acting weird at work now that everyone knows. Worried about how it looks. Her mother, Linda, called me once. I let it go to voicemail, then listened later. She talked about forgiveness, about not throwing away something special over a misunderstanding. Said Rachel was just lonely, and I should be more patient. Lonely people don't accidentally get soulmates at work. I deleted the message. The leasing office manager, Karen Mitchell, called to confirm my name was officially off the lease. She's the only one responsible now, she said. You're clear. My lawyer, David Collins, called a week after that. She's been served, he said. No response yet. If she doesn't contest, this will be straightforward. In the new house, my stuff finally had real places. Tools along the pegboard. TV on a stand I built myself. Photos of my life before her sitting on a shelf, not buried in a closet. When the final decree showed up in the mail, with her signature, no objections, no last-minute drama, I read it once, then slid it into a folder and wrote 2 words on the tab in black marker. Closed chapters. No celebration. No victory lap. Just a deep, steady feeling that walking away instead of staying to fight in circles had been the first real respect I'd shown myself in a long time. 6 months isn't a long time on a calendar. Feels longer when every week you rebuild from the studs up. Mornings got simple first. Alarm at 4:45. No snooze. I sit on the edge of my own bed. No one hogging the covers, no one scrolling a phone next to me. Feet on the cold floor, hands on my knees. 10 seconds just breathing, reminding myself, new day, clean slate, nobody else's chaos in this house. Coffee next. Same cheap machine, different counter. I don't rush it. Basket, grounds, water, button. While it drips, I stand at the sink and look out at the yard. Fence line straight. Grass not perfect, but cut. There's a small satisfaction in knowing every problem I see out there is mine to fix and no one else's. Work changed too. The lead position came through like Mark hinted. Paperwork signed. Pay bump added. New badge with a tiny title that doesn't mean much to anyone outside the warehouse, but it means something to me. Congrats, boss, Louis said, clapping my shoulder on my first day in the new role. I'm not your boss, I told him. I just get yelled at first now. But the truth is, I liked it. Instead of just moving freight, I was the one organizing the line when things went sideways. A truck shows up late, I figured out how to reroute guys. Someone calls off, I shift bodies, pick up slack. Problems come to me and I send back solutions, not excuses. There's no room to be in your feelings when pallets are backed up and timers are red. That part suited me fine. Kept my head clean. I made myself a rule early on. No talking about Rachel at work unless someone directly asked. And even then, keep it tight. A couple of people tried. Hey man, heard you split with your wife, one guy said at lunch. That true? Yeah, I answered. What happened? Didn't work out. You could see the curiosity die on his face. People are hungry for gossip, not calm. I wasn't feeding that. Afternoons, if I wasn't on overtime, I came straight back to the house. No circling old neighborhoods. No accidentally driving near the apartment. I cut that part of town out of my routes like a bad section of track. The house became my project. It's not fancy. Beige paint, old fixtures, floors with scratches from someone else's dog years back. But you'd be surprised how much a place changes when you put your hands on it a little. One weekend I put up that fence. Dug the posts myself, measured twice, set them straight, poured concrete, ran planks. Took 2 full days and my lower back hated me for a week. Every time I step out now and see that straight line of wood, I'm reminded I can build something that holds. Inside, I patched holes in the drywall, replaced a cheap light fixture with a sturdier one, fixed a cabinet door that wouldn't sit right. Nothing big enough for social media, just quiet upgrades only I'd notice. I mounted my TV on the wall and put my weight bench in the garage. Got a Bluetooth speaker out there too. After work, I'd lift in the dim light, music low, door half open to let the evening air in. Iron sweat, breathing, simple. Mike and Tom became regulars on Sundays. They'd show up with a bag of burgers or wings, and we'd lift, talk trash, and then sit around in plastic chairs, watching the sky change colors over the fence. You're different, man, Tom said once, polishing off a beer. How? I dunno, he shrugged. Less tense, I guess. Like you're not waiting for something bad to happen. I'm not, I said. Bad already happened. Now it's just life. He nodded like that made sense. Social life didn't explode. It just sharpened. Luis invited me out with some of the crew a couple Fridays. I went sometimes, bar down the road, cheap beer, bad music, guys complaining about management. I stayed for an hour or two, then called it. No point closing down a bar just to wake up feeling like trash. Ryan, my neighbor, pulled me into his orbit without making a big thing of it. First time it was, "Hey, we've got too much food. Come grab a plate." Next time, "You know how to fix this damn grill?" Eventually, it turned into regular backyard dinners. Kids running around with sticky hands, his wife rolling her eyes at his dad jokes. It was louder than my house, but the chaos there was clean. Normal. Nobody pretends something was fine when it wasn't. Dating came slow on purpose. I made a rule. No apps at first, no diving headfirst into another long-term thing. I needed to know I could be alone without losing my mind before I let someone else in again. The first date was a coworker's cousin. Coffee shop on a Saturday. She was nice. We talked about work, music, stupid stuff. I paid, walked her to her car, texted her later that she seemed cool, but I wasn't looking to rush into anything. She said she respected that. We left it there. The second date was a friend of a friend from Ryan's barbecue. We went to a minor league game, talked more about the players' names than the actual plays. She laughed a lot. It was easy, but it didn't feel like some big moment. No sparks flying. No, maybe this is it. Just two adults sharing a night. That was enough. The point wasn't to find a new forever. The point was to remind myself not every interaction with a woman had to involve lies, stress, or future plans. It could just be two people having a decent time and then going home separately. I slipped once. Not with another person, with old habits. One night, I was scrolling on my phone, half watching some game on TV, and my thumb hovered over Rachel's name in my email. I knew if I typed it, I could probably find her socials, see what she was posting, who she was with, what kind of life she was pretending to live. The urge came in a wave. That itch to check, to compare, to see if she'd moved on faster. To measure my healing against hers like it was some race. I sat there a full minute, staring at the cursor in the search bar. Then I put the phone face down on the table and went out to the garage. I turned on the light, cranked the music a little higher than usual, and put weight on the bar. By the time I was done, hands torn up and shirt soaked, that urge was gone. I took that as a note. When your brain wants drama, give your body some work instead. I saw her once, like I said, at the hardware store. She was in the paint aisle with some guy, arguing about whether eggshell or satin looked better. She had that tight expression I knew too well, the one she got when she wanted things perfect and nothing was lining up. She looked up, saw me, and you could see the shock hit. I didn't pause, just gave a small nod, like you do when you see someone you went to school with and barely remember, then kept walking. My heart didn't spike. Hands didn't shake. No yelling in my head about what I should say. I grabbed the concrete mix I came for, paid at self-checkout, and walked out into the sun. Halfway to my truck, I realized something. I hadn't replayed old conversations in my head in a while. I wasn't rehearsing speeches I'd never give. I was just living my day. The email from her came a couple weeks after that. Long one. Took me 3 scrolls to get through it. Apologies, explanations, claims about being in a bad place, and not realizing how far things had gone. She said she missed us, missed how safe I made her feel, missed the version of herself she was with me. Lots of words. Not a lot of ownership. I didn't get angry reading it. Just tired. Like listening to a commercial you've heard 10 times for something you'll never buy. I typed my reply slowly, making sure every word actually needed to be there. I'm moving on. You should too. That was all. No questions. No door left ajar. Sent it, archived the thread, and then went out to the yard to fix a loose board on the fence. Something real. Something I could touch. The real difference between then and now isn't the woman I sleep next to. Because most nights, that's no one. It's the noise level in my head. Back then, even on quiet nights, there was always this hum. What's she doing? Is she okay? Did I mess up? Is something wrong? That constant low-level worry. Like a fan buzzing in the background you don't notice until it turns off. Now, it's off. The closing picture of this chapter is simple. I'm on my back porch after work. Sun's dropping behind the fence. I've got a book open on my lap, boots up on a second chair. There's a cold drink on the table, a condensation ring forming on the wood. The house behind me is clean, not spotless, just lived in. My phone buzzes. Unknown number, you deserve better. I hope you're doing well. Could be her on a new line. Could be someone fishing for a reaction. Could be a wrong number. Doesn't matter. I deleted it. No reply. No screenshot. No sending it to buddies for interpretation. Not out of rage. Out of a simple understanding. Anything pulling me back into that old storm is a waste of the life I've built since. People think closure is a big speech, a final fight, some dramatic moment where everything gets laid out and everyone cries. Sometimes closure is a man alone on his own porch, knowing he made the right call and not needing anyone else to confirm it. I didn't overreact. I didn't go soft. I didn't stay and die by inches. I saw what was real, packed my things, walked out, and built something better with the parts of myself they didn't break. That's the statement. No fireworks. No revenge plot. Just a clean life that finally fits.
Subscribe and stay one step ahead of cheaters. And trust me, the next story makes this one look like a fairy tale.